Welcome to the Fantasy Hockey Dream Machine Patreon. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get your copy of the sheet up and running. If you don't yet have your own copy, DM me on Patreon and I will set you up. I'll share one with you. Give me your Gmail address that you want me to send it to. If you do have this all set up, the first thing you're going to do is check your scoring settings. Make sure that these match your league. So you're going to go to the scoring tab here. We'll stick with just the first league in this column here. If you have multiple leagues, you can fill out the other ones as well. It's pretty straightforward. You got your skater points here, your goalie points here. These are some roster specs. So if your league has left wing, center, right wing positions, you're going to want to check this box. If it doesn't, you can uncheck it. You're going to put in the number of each position per team in these cells here, and then on this one you're going to say the number of teams. Skip over roster data link for a second. These cells here, this replacement threshold is for value over replacement player, or VORP. If you know what VORP is and you know exactly where you want to set it, you can punch in a number here, right? So if you want exactly 143 players or forwards calculated, you can type that in here. Otherwise, just leave it unrecommended and you'll be good to go. If your league has defense specific points, you could check this box here. So say maybe defenseman goals are worth 6 instead of 4.5. You just punch those values in here. Down here we have schedule ranges. You don't have to touch this at all. And in fact, as a general rule, if you don't really know much about spreadsheets, you're prone to breaking things, just change the values in purple. If you know what you're doing, you can tinker with whatever you want, but as long as you stay within the purple cells, you should be good to go. So these are going to inform the this advanced column over here, or advanced sheet. So you can set the projections to calculate for a specific date range. So currently I have it set to the NHL season, and if we go back to the rankings, you'll see everyone plays 82 games. If you go to the back here and you say you want to set it for just week 1, right? You set the start date as the week 1 start date, October 7th, and the end date is the week 1 end date, which is October 12th. You go back to the rankings, it will change everything. So you'll see Connor McDavid is now the 23rd most valuable player in week 1 because he only plays 2 games. And everyone that plays 3 games in this sort of top echelon is going to be worth more. I think this is particularly useful if you want to set it for the playoffs and see who's the most valuable player in the playoffs. Right, if you picked first overall and you thought you were a lock to make the playoffs, maybe you would take Nathan MacKinnon because he's quite a few fantasy points more valuable than Connor McDavid. I'm going to set this back to the full season. Oh, there's an injury projections here. If you think, if you care about injuries, you can toggle that on. I have some projections based on past seasons. The big thing here is these 2 cells here, the schedule efficiency, which corresponds to this column here. So schedule efficiency is a variable that accounts for how a player's schedule will fit into your lineup. So if you have a player who plays on off nights, majority off nights, they will have a high schedule efficiency. And if you have a player who plays, mostly on stacked Thursday nights and Saturday nights, they're going to have a low schedule efficiency. So the idea with this is it's trying to account for the extra value you can get from streaming players in your league, right? So if you have someone who plays on Friday nights, that's one less player playing on Saturday nights, one more player you can get in the lineup. right? More nights of the year that you'll have openings for streamers, right? And more fantasy points that you can then stream into your lineup. It's a bit of a, let's say, like rough estimate, right? It's not an exact science. You can ratchet this up or down depending on your preference, right? So that's what this weighting value is, right? So the higher this number goes, the more drastic that schedule efficiency factor will be, right? So if I crank this up to like 500 here, right, these numbers go huge. Igor Shesterkin is now the second most valuable player in the entire league, right? Leon Draisaitl's 10th, Matthews is 15th, right? So this is like a pretty distorted ranking because these numbers are so drastic. For me personally, 40 is kind of where I settled on, as that's kind of my preference. You play around with it. If your league has a bunch of weekly ads, you probably want that number to be higher. If you only have 1 or 2 ads a week, or you're in a weekly lock, you want that at like 0 basically. If it's a weekly lock, just turn it right off. Also, if you're the type of manager who's always maximizing your ads, you're like, oh, I've got 4 ads, I got to use them all. You're gonna want to lean higher on the schedule efficiency number. If you kind of prefer to set and forget, make very minimal adjustments throughout the week, you're not really going to capitalize on this value of having off nights, so you probably want a lower value anyway. And so what the sheet is ranking by here is this column EV, which is VORP plus schedule efficiency, right? So it's your value over a replacement player with a slight modifier, or a drastic modifier if that's what you prefer, to account for this schedule efficiency. I would recommend, for when you're trying to dial in sort of what weighting you'd like, set this here to no schedule efficiency and rank the teams here, or rank the players rather, right? So you see schedule efficiency's off, and then go in here, turn it back on, and let's say let's crank it up to like 100 maybe. And we're going to scroll down to these sort of, let's say, top 100-ish players, and just sort of see the distortion here, right? So you've got Jackson Lacombe, Anaheim Ducks always have good off nights, right? He's getting 12.1 schedule efficiency. He jumps from being 78th overall player to 53rd, so he jumps 25 spots. That might be more spots than you want him to jump, right? If you're like, I'm not drafting Jackson Lacombe, in the 5th round, even if he does have great off nights. So that's probably 100 is probably too high for you, right? You can dial that in, just do some trial and error, and decide what exactly you like. For me, I like 40. I'd recommend, if you just want somewhere to start, go with that. But again, you're welcome to customize it to your personal preferences. Some other tabs here. I'm going to skip to the purple ones. So purple tabs have purple cells for you to edit. The calculator here, this is the sheet that produces all of those fantasy point projections. It takes the players per minute scoring rates for each stat, multiplies those by minutes played per game, and then by games played to output overall fantasy points. Or I should say, it then multiplies them by how many fantasy points they're worth and gives you the fantasy point projection. If you disagree with me on any of these values, you can modify them, right? So if you think Jackson Lacombe's not going to play 82 games, you think he's going to play 20% less, you can go negative 20%. Now he's playing 66 games, and he drops to considerably fewer fantasy points. If you think he's going to play more or less minutes, right, you think, oh, he's actually not going to get top defenseman deployment. You think he's going to play like 2 minutes less, you can go -2 here. And that'll shave that down to 17.9, right? You can customize these to whatever you'd like. I will warn you, though, that let's say you're correct, right? Let's say he doesn't play 19 minutes, he plays more like 17 minutes, and you set a -2 here. Eventually, I will catch up with that, right? I'll see that he's playing less minutes. I'll reduce my projections. This number will go down unmodified, right? So it would be like 17.9 before you put the modifier, and with the modifier, it would then be 15.9, right? So you'd be like kind of double nerfing him. So just something to pay attention to when you modify a player. My projections are going to change over time underneath it. Just be aware of that. Actually, if we go and find him here, Jackson Lacombe, you'll notice now he has a little tag here that says mod. So that pops up on anybody that you've modified, so that you'll have an idea when you're looking on this page. If something looks out of line, you might see like, oh, Jackson Lacombe, right? You dropped him to 102, and then a few days later, now he's down to like 130, 140. Like, why is he so low? Oh, because you've got a modifier and something probably changed in my projections for you. Just something to be aware of. There's one more column over here, which is your just an overall stat modifier. So if you say, I like your games played, I like your time on ice, Kyle, but the caliber of player, you're just off, right? Like, I think Jackson Lacombe's just a better player, right? You could bump this up and make it, say, call it 15%. What is going on here? Right, you think he's a 15% better player. He goes from being whatever he was, like a 45 point player. Now he's a 52 point player. His sheet's going to update accordingly. So you've got full ability to customize all of these projections. Just be aware that those projections aren't static. They're going to change over time. As part of the value of the sheet is these numbers will be current, right? As players get promoted or demoted, these are going to change for you. So you shouldn't have to change anything, but you do have the option. The last page here is the starting goalies. It's kind of like a games played override. So if you set the sheet to today, right? You set this to today and this to today. You may be looking for a streamer, right? You may want to stream a goalie. And if you go to the rankings here, we'll grab goalies and we'll rank them real quick. Nice, okay. So these are today's goalies. You'll see some of them are playing one game. Some of them aren't. So for example, Jacob Markstrom might play tonight. Jake Allen might play tonight. These are projections based on who I think is going to start on average on a given night. If you found out that Jake Allen was confirmed to start and you wanted to see how many points he would get you compared to, say, Askarov, who the sheet already thinks is going to start, you could grab Jake Allen, throw him in here, set this value to 1, and now Jake Allen's playing a game and Jacob Markstrom is playing 0 games. So it's assigned the game on the schedule tonight to Jake Allen. And now you can see, oh, he's actually better than Askarov. You'd rather have Jake Allen as a stream. These ones that project a full game, these are back-to-backs. So the sheet will assume that the starting goalie is going to play the first night and the backup goalie will play the second night of the back-to-back. So the Leafs are kicking off a back-to-back. Anthony Stolarz, their starting goaltender, should get the first start. The Jets are on the back end of a back-to-back, so Hellebuyck played yesterday. Comrie's getting the start tonight. Sometimes this will be off. Sometimes teams decide to mix things up, but 95% of back-to-backs it goes starter and backup. So this is the sort of the default of the sheet. But again, if you wanted to change something, right? You said, "Oh, I don't think Comrie's going to play. I think they're going to run Hellebuyck back-to-back," or not even think. Maybe you find out, right? You punch in Connor Hellebuyck, 1 game played. Eric Comrie's now at 0, and wherever Connor Hellebuyck is, there he is. He's getting the game. That's pretty much it for the sheet itself. The last thing I want to show you is how to import your Yahoo settings, or your Yahoo league ownership into the sheet. So I'm going to set this back to the full season. Rank it. Looking good. Okay. I'm going to go to this second sheet. It's called the Yahoo Roster Data Scraper. It's on the Patreon. You should have access to it. How to get this set up, you're going to make a copy. Call it whatever you want. Hit allow access. And you're going to punch in a few values into these purple cells. So you're going to go to your fantasy league. Here's mine. And you're going to grab from the URL this it's like 5 or 6 digit code. You're going to copy it and paste it into the league code section here. You're going to punch in your number of teams, in my case 12, and then you want to select, you want to tell the sheet which team in the league is your team. So if you go to the league roster page here, it will show you all of the teams in order. You're going to find your team on this. In this case, this is my team here. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4th team. And you can double check that by clicking on your team, and it'll be in the URL /4. You're going to come in here and you're going to check off your team in this list. And you don't have to worry about team ID for now. I may add a feature in later that uses that, but for now you just need to put in the league code, number of teams, check this box, and in the background this is going to start scraping your league for roster players and assigning them as owned. So if I go in here, I'm going to hit refresh. It should have started. Yeah, there we go. So it's starting to populate these teams. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes they break. This is only as good as the Google Sheets import function. It's like fairly reliable, but it's not always reliable. So just be warned. And also, if Yahoo pushes an update to their website, it could break these. I'll have to do an update myself to account for it. So just a couple of disclaimers there that this is not perfect, but it's very, very good. Last thing we need to do is we're going to copy this URL of the scraper, and we are going to go back to our scoring settings, and we're going to paste it in here at this roster data link. Hit enter, give it a second. This is going to prompt us to allow it access to the sheet. There we go. We're going to hit allow access, and we are all linked up. We are good to go. So go back to our rankings. You'll see now these two columns are full of check marks. So the first column is league owned players and players on waivers. So anyone that you cannot currently pick up is going to be a check mark on this column. So you can filter based on that. I can remove the check marks. What I'll be left with is free agents that are available. Right. So if you're looking for a streamer, super easy way to get a short list of players to potentially add. Just one click here. Take out those check marks. The other column is going to be filtering for your team. So the check marks are your team, and the non-check marks are not on your team. So if you found a player you want to pick up, now you want to know who to drop, you can set it for your team. See, okay, who does the model think is the most droppable over the date range that you set it to. So pretty powerful stuff. The caveat that sometimes it breaks, right? And so you might go to set the free agent filter and you see, oh, Nathan McKinnon's available in the free agency. That's a pretty good indicator that something has gone wrong. You just want to give it another 5 minutes. Maybe it'll sort itself out. You might want to come over here and hit refresh. I don't know why the functions break sometimes. I think you got to take it up with Google Sheets. But otherwise, it's incredibly quick. Like you'll pick up a player, you'll come back here 5 minutes later, and the check mark is waiting for you. They're already processed as owned. But yeah, those are the main things. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out. And good luck with your fantasy seasons.